Is he not straight? What does that really say about femininity and females in society and how they're perceived? Expressing one's emotion is a human right and not a gender right. Hello everyone, and welcome to the 8th episode of Lina Rants with me, Lina. Today, I'm so excited to be talking about toxic masculinity with you. It's a very important topic, and I think it's very interesting. Before I start, I need to say that this episode is actually inspired by a conversation that I had with a really good friend. Now, there's a lot of questions around toxic masculinity. What is toxic masculinity? What is masculinity? Is masculinity really subjective or is it objective? Is there a scale for masculinity? Is masculinity only attributed to men or could it be attributed to women? How did toxic masculinity come about and what has it contributed to our society today? Are the real effects of toxic masculinity not only on men but on women as well? And how has toxic masculinity to a lot of bad mental health for men around the world? Well, to start off, I guess I need to explain what toxic masculinity even is because I realized that a lot of people don't even know what toxic masculinity is. Toxic masculinity, according to Wikipedia and textbook definition, is a concept that refers to traditional cultural norms that are associated with negative or harmful behavior towards men and society. So to make it more relevant, let me tell you a few phrases and see if you feel like they're familiar or not. Man up, stop crying, boys don't cry. Take it like a man. They sound familiar, don't they? Well, that's very much toxic masculinity to you. Toxic masculinity actually starts from a very young age, in childhood. A lot of people don't even realize that this is called toxic masculinity or even know what toxic masculinity is or how bad toxic masculinity can affect not only the son that you're raising but also how it affects society and women and how this person views life and themselves and behaves in society. There are many aspects of toxic masculinity and I'm going to cover the emotional side of it, how it affects females, and what are societal norms or gender roles that are there, and how our society is even formed because of toxic masculinity. So, of course, I'm going to start with the emotional part and I'm going to talk about the conversation that happened with my friend. My friend and I were just having a regular conversation. He was explaining his emotions to me and he said, I'm very emotional and I don't like being emotional and I beat myself up for it a lot of the time because I should toughen up a little bit, be more manly, and that someone has pointed out that he hangs out with too many girls. That triggered me so much. I think it's so unfair and it's so sad that my friend has to go through that. First of all, how did our society manage to link being emotional or even having emotions at all and expressing them for men to be perceived as something that's weak or feminine or looked down upon? What does that really say about femininity and females in society and how they're perceived? How has society suppressed and denied men from really experiencing their feelings and having emotions and expressing these emotions, even if it means that they cry? Last time I checked, men were just humans, and it's human nature to have feelings, to be emotional, to express emotions. Expressing one's emotion is a human right and not a gender right. And in regards to the comment from someone who said that he hangs out with too many girls, how have we, again, allowed society to be so double standard? Why is it looked down upon that a man is hanging out with too many girls? Is he not straight? Is he not masculine enough? And how have we allowed society at the same time to think when a girl hangs out with guys and can be one of the boys that she's cool and that's hot? Now, how can I link that back to the childhood and the suppressing of emotions? Well, obviously that is suppressing of emotions. What happens to a person who suppresses their emotions from such a young age and continues to do that and at some point detaches from their emotions, builds up emotion, eventually is going to come out? Well, it comes out from a lot of things that young men do. For example, bullying or getting bullied, physical violence, unexplained bursts of anger that always stems from the mental health of a child. Am I saying that's an excuse for men to be violent or abusive? Absolutely not. But does it mean that we can prevent men or fix the root of the problem of why men are actually abusive and violent? Absolutely. Though the incapability of a human being to not express their feeling and to be denied feeling vulnerable or weak, it eventually leads to depression. But because a lot of men have detached from their feelings a long time ago, they are actually not aware of their feelings and are not able to assess them even if they are aware of them. And even if they're aware of them, they're very self-reliant because they cannot express their feeling and cannot ask for help because that's also weakness. Even though women are more susceptible to get depression and a lot of other mental illnesses, most suicides actually are in men and not women. According to statistics, male suicide is 3 times more in Australia, 3.5 times more in the USA, 4 times more in Russia and Argentina, and 40% more around the world. That's a lot. Well, the main reason is communication. Most men around the world are prone to a certain level of toxic masculinity. In my opinion, women are actually a lot more emotionally strong than men because they are able to express their feelings and to let out all the emotions in doing whatever the hell they want to do in order to let it out. I think if we allow a safe space, and I emphasize on safe, for men, whether that be your brother, your dad, partner, your friend, your colleague, anybody, a safe space to speak, truly and genuinely speak about how they feel about things and not judge them, will make it a lot better. Like, how do men cope with their problems if they don't express it and they don't get diagnosed and they don't get help? A lot of men actually self-medicate with alcohol or drug abuse, cigarettes, and whatever else that they use to self-medicate. And that could also lead to shortened lifespan in men. Moving on from the psychological part, which is still linked to the second part that I'm going to be talking about in regards to toxic masculinity, and how society actually indulges toxic masculinity. If you're a man, how many male friends find it weird that a man takes care of their skin, that has skincare routine, or feel like a bit weird when a man takes too much care of his physical appearance? Or do you find it weird if you're a lady to go, for example, into the nail salon and find a man getting a pedicure? Do you think it's kind of weird if a man wears pinks or tight jeans? Do you think it's unmanly if a man cooks for his wife? Do you think it's unmanly for a man to have no facial or body hair? I can go on and on and on. If you thought any of those things are unmanly, then this is part of toxic masculinity. Getting bullied for any of the things that I mentioned above, or even anything else, like, for example, body fat or height or voice depth. School, if you're a male watching this, or if your brother or your son or whatever has been bullied in school for that, that is also part of toxic masculinity. Not only do gender roles affect men, they 100% affect women as well. Saying a woman only belongs in the kitchen is very much part of being sexist, and sexism actually comes from toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is actually one of the root problems of why there is misogyny, and from misogyny comes sexism, and from sexism comes a lot of bad things. A man is made to hustle, provide for the family. And if a man doesn't provide for the family, then he's worthless. That is toxic masculinity. Obviously, I don't live under a rock, and I'm aware that there are a lot of movements right now, and a lot of men and women don't believe in gender roles, and that's fantastic. Now let's move on to the last part of the 3 things that I wanted to talk about in regards to toxic masculinity, and that is society. Toxic masculinity has created the alpha male, and the alpha male has created the society that we live in. A society of patriarchy, where a man is on top of the pyramid. I already said that. Now, I want to say something in regards to society, and it might be a little bit controversial. Isn't it funny that the same society that has created toxic masculinity, which led to alpha male, which led to the patriarchy, is also the same exact society that has created a so-called solution and a movement and ask for female equality in that same society that has created patriarchy. And that movement is the feminist movement. And yet, so many people at home, in a lot of ways, unknowingly create toxic masculinity in people who surround them. And then it's just a never-ending process. Go back and question the things that you believe in. I know that a lot of people don't like to question things that they have been brought up to believe in because it's scary. But sometimes it's very important for us to grow as people and to help other people around us that we love grow as well and be healthy. Question, what does masculinity really mean to you? Observe yourself. If you're a female, observe yourself when you see other men who do things that are not necessarily very masculine. Think, do I have the right to say that this person is not masculine or not manly enough? If you're a male, observe yourself around your friends, your families, how you perceive yourself, how you perceive other men. Do I feel depressed or suppressed or uncomfortable because I'm not letting out certain emotions? Discuss, create awareness, get the conversation going. Different people have different opinions about different things. Going into a conversation with an open mind and open heart and ensuring that the person in front of you is also doing the same thing will allow you to grow. Find a safe place that you trust, that when you know you're going to talk to this person, they're not going to judge you. And try to make a habit out of it. I know it can be hard sometimes, but try to make a habit out of it to talk to that person freely and genuinely about how you feel, and do not try to hold yourself back if you feel like you're crying or sentimental or emotional or whatever it is that you feel like you're not allowed to do in front of other people. If you're a girl, be that safe space, offer that help, and let them know that you're there, you're gonna listen, and that you're not gonna judge them. Call people out. We need to stop each other and hold each other accountable when we indulge in toxic behavior. If you have a younger sibling or a younger cousin, nephew, if you're expecting a child, because I know a lot of my friends are now expecting their firstborn, it's very important to talk to your partner and how you want to raise your child if it turns out to be a little boy. It always starts from the childhood. So if you find anybody around you that you love and care about, make sure from such a young age that even if your nephew, like you're not their parent or anything, your cousin and your brother, that toxic masculinity is not part of their identity. All I'm saying is that you can put bandages on a scar as much as you want. It's not going to actually heal until you stitch it. For all the guys that follow me on here, or all the guys who stumble upon this, it is okay to be emotional, it is okay to be sensitive, and it's okay to be vulnerable. You are a human being, and if someone tells you that you don't have the right to do that, then they're basically asking you to abandon a very vital part of being a human being. And you deserve that. That is your human right. Know that you are more than just a money-making machine, more than a provider, are worthy for just being you, for the love that you give, for the care that you give. And know that being manly is not about yelling or hitting. Being a man is being courageous. Being a man is having chivalry. Being a man, standing up for what's right. Using that voice that you have to stand up for things that you believe in that could help society and help you. I am done with my 8th episode. I've been writing for a very long time. Please let me know what you thought. If you really liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And with that, I'll see you next episode. Traditional. And my friend was... What? Well, there's... And to actually assess what they're feeling. If you ask me how I'm feeling, I'll be like, hey, I'm feeling good today, or I'm feeling meh, or like I've just been crying for the past 2 hours. Do to be as low as possible on the whole politics thing, creating toxic masculinity. No.